Hi everyone, my name is Mark Deere, and in this video I want to talk about doing the impossible. Now, I'm inspired to talk about this because earlier in the year, I watched a Robert Zemeckis movie called The Walk, and it's based on Philippe Petit. He's a famous wire walker, and it's based on his story. And the book was called, I think it was called To Reach the Clouds, and then it was rebranded as The Walk when the film The Walk came out. Years earlier, I'd seen the documentary called Man on Wire, which was basically the story of this same book. So I think both movies were based on the same book. One was a documentary, following the process of Philippe Petit's life as laid out in the book, talking about him getting to the point of wire walking between the two Twin Towers. And then the movie The Walk was a fictionalized version starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And it's awesome because the fictionalized version, which I saw, I'd had it in a collection of DVDs we have for ages that I used to have at school, and I'd never seen it or thought about it, but Candy pulled it out and put it on one day. And it blew my mind. Out of all the films I've watched this day, I think it's the #1 for the year. Like out of all the movies I've watched this year, I think it's my favorite movie. It was just such a excellent, well-produced movie. I'm guessing it was originally designed to be seen in 3D. I didn't have it in 3D, I just had the DVD. But you can just tell it was at that time. I think it came out in 2015 where, there was a lot of 3D movies coming out. And it was just, it was fantastic. And I'd love to see it in 3D if I ever had the opportunity to. But the movie just really affected me. And there's one quote in it which is just amazing. And it makes you fall in love with Philippe Petit, the person, which is something like, I put it in my phone, so I might get my phone out, but it was something like, it's impossible and I'm going to do it, The actual quote, this is from the book. So I gave Candice the actual book for Christmas. So she's been reading the book all day and yesterday. So the actual quote was, he whispered it to himself, "I know it's impossible, but I know I'll do it." So talking about doing the impossible, and the book To Reach the Clouds, it's funny because, the big takeaway of this is having faith in yourself and the process. Candice recently read another book, it's called Best Loser Wins. It's about day trading. It's all not day, about being a trader and the psychology of trading. And it had a similar sort of focus. And I guess it's all about psychology, where both Philippe Petit and this guy in the trading book said, the focus is absolutely on, and all your faith needs to be in the process. So you have faith in the process, absolute faith in the process and in yourself to follow through on the process. But you have no idea what the outcome is going to be. The outcome remains a mystery. You can never control or demand the outcome, right? And so even though anybody you would tell, and watching, the movie is so great. I highly recommend the Robert Zemeckis movie, The Walk. I can't believe I'd never heard about it. Like I knew Man on Wire because I'm not sure if it won the Academy Award or if it just got a nomination, but it was a very famous film and got Oscar nominated. A lot of people knew about it. And I saw it back at the time, I think at the Dendy Cinema or something, when that came out. That was early 2000s. And I believe the book was published in 2002. But it's interesting seeing the film, the fictionalized version of the film. It just got me so excited because what is filmmaking if not doing the impossible, And obviously making a film, anybody can make a film. So it's not impossible because anyone can do it. But again, you do have to focus completely on the process and have faith completely in yourself. And the mystery is, the outcome, is a complete mystery. So, that is analogous to this idea of something being impossible and still doing it. And it's super inspirational. I honestly think it's probably the most beautiful piece of art, performance art at least, that's ever been done. It's just spectacular seeing him walk on that wire above those Twin Towers, however high they were. It's just a phenomenal feat, a phenomenal and inspiring feat. And so the documentary was inspiring. The man himself was inspiring. The fictionalized version was inspiring. It was just fantastic, just fantastic. And the idea of doing the impossible, and it is impossible. If you said, I'm going to get a wire up there, no permission, because that's the thing that made it extra amazing, is he had no permission to do this. That it was a coup. Him and a few other guys, they shot an arrow to get the wire across and nobody knew they were doing it. It was illegal. So the fact that if you had 200 people and permission, and even then it would have seemed impossible, but add on to the fact that they didn't have permission to do it and that they were coming from France and a couple of the guys couldn't even speak English properly. It's like, oh my God, how did they do it? How did they do it? I still can't believe it's real, that it's not fiction. They always say reality is stranger than fiction. And in this case, it's so true. And there's just something amazing. It was literally impossible. And I guess you could say, well, not literally impossible because he proved it could be done. But anybody on the street would say, that is impossible. How you can't do that. And he did it, and he did it. He had complete faith in the process. Like nobody would be, the confidence he has when he walks on the wire, if you've never seen this, you need to Google it like right after this. The confidence he has, he walks, the police are trying to get him off and he just turns around and keeps walking. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe he did that in real life. He lies down on the wire, like between the 2,000, that'll help. He has no safety harness on him. Like if he fell, he would die. And it's just spectacular. And he did the impossible, and it's very inspirational to me. And I think going into 2026, this is how I feel. Like my goal is, you know, it's like I've left full-time classroom teaching. I talked about that a few videos back. And over the course of my long service leave from work, because I've been a teacher for 10 years, and 11 years before that, I worked in film. So I made TV ads and I made a lot of corporate videos. And on the side of that, we made narrative films. But kind of once I got more professional, I stopped making my narrative films. And so this year, my goal, my thing I want to spend the most of my time on is making narrative films. I want to, for the first time ever, make a lot of short films. We made a lot of independent feature films inspired by Robert Rodriguez. When we started 20 years ago, my wife and I, that is, Candice, together we made a bunch of feature films. And, you know, we never really did the thing of experimenting with short films. So that's what I want to do this year. And it's going to be interesting. And I think like, yeah, like who says you can't do it? You know, like, and if people say you can't do it, you do it anyway, right? If you have absolute faith in the process and faith in yourself, then there's nothing you can't do, right? There's nothing you can't do. I'm sure it was the same about getting a man on the moon. Like everyone thought it was impossible. It still seems impossible that we've achieved this as humanity. But, you know, there it was done. And I just, yeah, Philippe Petit, absolute inspiration. And I have more that I could talk about. There's so many facets of that story that could be videos. I could do a 20 video series just talking about, just breaking down all the lessons from him doing that, because it is truly one of the most inspiring stories ever. Okay. That's it for today. I don't know if you know about Philippe Petit, and if you don't, you need to Google him. His name will be in the description, so you can kind of look it up. But yeah, I highly recommend the film The Walk. And when I do talk about how I've watched a film every single day in 2025, unless I see some mind-blowing movie in the next few days, because it's only, what's today? Today's the 27th of December. So, you know, in the next 5 days, if I don't see an amazing film, 4 days, if I don't see an amazing, inspiring film, then yeah, it's going to be The Walk for my best film of the year. The film I enjoyed the most this year out of all the films I saw. Because obviously it's an older film, so it's not the best film of 2025. It was my favorite film out of the 365 films I saw in 2025. I just really enjoyed it. It was thoroughly entertaining, impeccably made. Everything, the performances were incredible. It was just a great movie. Okay, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. I'm wearing my Philippe Petit shirt. This is him walking the wire between the Twin Towers back in 1974. So very exciting times. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.